All right, I got 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call our village board order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I thank everyone for attendance and minutes can reflect the various trustees in attendance along with staff. Faces look familiar, but this is a new session, so we'll go over the standard start of the school year rules. For trustees' purposes, we use Robert's rules, so if you wish to be heard, please raise your hand, catch my eye, whatever, I'll acknowledge you, things like that. Couple things that we do here is we have the bills for approval, but typically we will send out the bills ahead of time for your review. If you have any questions on the bills, please contact Paul and or Jesse and see if we can get those things answered prior to village board meeting minutes. Anything else? Again, just standard dignity and respect. Again, it's we represent the community, and this is what we're all here for at the end of the day, is to do the village's business. So, that being said, let's move on to item 3. Entertain a motion for the approval of the 4-1 village board meeting minutes and to file the 110 architectural review board, the 214 architectural review board, the 225 joint library board, the 311 board of public works, and the 318 finance committee meeting minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions on minutes?
Yes, on the minutes for the architectural review board of January 10th. That's second paragraph under commercial plan review. Mr. Wick noted that some materials were being from, I suppose, were to be used or something in between there. This doesn't sound right.
In reading that, either we could, just so it reads better, we could either say that the same materials were from the previous phases or were being used from. Either insert the word used or,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Anything else? Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Let's move on to item 4. Anybody in the audience wishing to be heard on a non-agenda item? Non-agenda item. All right, let's move on to item 5. Business presented by the president. Item A, entertain a motion to table until Grammy Pammy gets back from visiting her new granddaughter.
I'll make the motion to table.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Move on to item B, proclamation declaring Friday, April 26, 2019 as Arbor Day in the village of Grafton, and yes, we have to make it official. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that proclamation.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item C, as part of my duties as president, I do have to make committee assignments. Item C is the confirmation of the village board committee commission assignments, April 2019, April 20th, 2020.
Make the motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Show one nay. Let's move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinance, action items. Item A, report of the finance committee, basically an updated classification structure for seasonal employees as presented. I don't see John, so Jesse.
Certainly. As you can see by the significant language set forth in the motion, really what this boils down to is an update of the seasonal employee classification structure, where we're looking to eliminate positions that are no longer actually utilized through the recreation department. Looking to create an individual or standalone or unique yoga instructor position and install that within pay grade 9 of the seasonal grade structure. And that is based upon looking to separate that from the exercise program instructor, which is at a lower pay grade. The reasoning behind that, the yoga program, been very successful for our Park and Recreation Department, and really that success has been based upon the excellent instructors that we've had, and in an effort to help keep and retain that talent, so to speak, we're looking at creating this new position and establishing it within a slightly higher pay grade. The rec programs, generally speaking, are self-funded. The yoga program in particular, as a standalone program by itself, is in fact self-supporting. So there are no fiscal concerns with that pay grade upgrade. That said, some further revisions to this structure include updates to job titles at the Family Aquatic Center, and then looking to upgrade the pay grades for particular aquatic facility related positions, and really that's for competitiveness within the summer job market. The Finance Committee's packet broke out not only what other communities nearby are doing, but also other job opportunities in the private sector here in Grafton, and really looking to retain or attract good talent, especially in the area of lifeguards. And I can definitely speak to my past experience in having to hire lifeguards on a seasonal basis, and it is a difficult task. There is a very competitive market, so to speak, with that. So that being said, these changes to that seasonal classification structure are brought forward out of finance for the board's consideration.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion second, comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's move on to Board of Public Works. 4 items. Item 1 is a motion to authorize the purchase of a new Warner utility body from Badger Truck Equipment of West Dallas in the amount of $14,865 be approved.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Unless anybody has any questions, shut them out for Amber, otherwise we'll just move forward. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 2 is a motion to approve the WWTP SCADA system hardware and software project for a total cost of $114,839 be approved.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, that's a significant dollar amount, so Amber?
Sure, so this was a budgeted item to update the SCADA system, which controls the treatment plant or helps oversee how the treatment plant is running. It did come in slightly under budget.
Questions? Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3 is a motion to enter into a contractual agreement with Applied Technologies to provide engineering services for the Greenfield Road Lift Station Tributary Area Infiltration Info Study in an amount not to exceed $39,950 be approved.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Go for it.
Sure, so this is something that was kind of delegated to us by the DNR to start this study so that in future years we're able to look at where we have inflow and infiltration issues and where we're able to address and fix those problems.
Good. You see that as being as big a problem as they used to be in years past? Still
I'd
being
say
an
it's
issue?
probably a pretty big issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 4 is a motion to award project 19-04 Riverbend Road utility extensions to Benton Constructions of Two Rivers for a cost of $1,043,013.50 be approved.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second, and again, the supports are in the subdivision, so
Right, these are the extension of water and sewer down Riverbend Road to the east to connect to the new Riverbend Meadows subdivision, and it did come in slightly less than the engineer's estimate.
comments, questions? Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Let's move on to department officers' reports. Andrew's here, Jesse's here. Anybody have any questions for them? Anything they wish to pass along to the board? No starting roads.
What?
Road projects are starting.
Sure. Yeah, as an update on that, road construction has started for the year. 17th Avenue, if you've been in that area, is where they started sewer work this week and hoping to start water main here if the water holds, or if the rain holds off here the rest of the week. From 17th, they'll be moving to kind of the side roads right in that area between 16th and 17th for the most part.
Okay, Lisa?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. In the last few weeks to month, I've been trying to figure out some information, get some information from the sheriff's office. Jesse, I talked to you about this, on trying to figure out the lobby visits. And in that conversation, in the last week or so, I've discovered that we are kind of behind the ball here on the tornado siren. And I know that there's been a plan in place. In the past, it's been that the tornado siren's been managed at the police departments, and it's been managed 24 hours a day. And we're kind of in a predicament right now. I know that there's something in place now where somebody's notified, they have to go over to the police department. This is tornado season, and I am hoping that we can figure something out quickly. And I think it might be worth it to at least get some kind of estimate to figure out, if we have to, how much it would cost to transfer that line over to the sheriff's office. Because right now, we have no coverage on third shift.
Right
And I
now,
know they dispatch for other communities.
they do. That's absolutely right. I was privy to an email exchange conversation between Chief Wendt and Sheriff Johnson on that specific topic regarding the activation of the tornado siren. This was in advance of last week's statewide test, just really looking to formalize the protocol that was in place. That said, I understand the protocol to be right now where the National Weather Service issues a warning. The Ozaukee County receives that warning. Bob Seamer, our emergency coordinator, is getting signed up for, or has signed up for, that same system. So the county receives that warning, notifies our officers on duty in the event it is a time in which we don't have a police support specialist in-house. That way the siren can be activated as soon as possible. If workload prohibits officers on duty being able to respond and activate that siren, Mr. Seamer is the next point of contact. If Mr. Seamer is not available, Chief Wendt is the next point of contact thereafter too. So that is the protocol that's in place right now today. But to your point that you mentioned, yes, I understand that Saukville and Port Washington, their emergency sirens are activated by the county. In previous communities I've served, when I was in Brown Deer, Milwaukee County actuates the sirens countywide. So yes, there are systems out there to do that, but we have that protocol in place. Whether or not a transfer to the sheriff's office is possible, I'm sure it is. It would be a matter of working through those logistics if that decision were to come about.
Okay, we can put that on future public safety agenda. Is there any other items?
I have one more. I know that we are looking at some scheduled capital replacement, and I was aware that there is something, the video server replacement for the police department, that's scheduled to be replaced. I think the maximum amount that's been budgeted is $20,000. I understand that there's been 3 quotes for that project. And I am curious about one of those quotes because it seems like there might be a conflict of interest from one of the companies. So I think Mike Kerbrand had weighed in on that, and could you talk about that? Are we able to talk about that?
I can very quickly respond to, yes, there is a video server project that is budgeted. It's a capital budget item for this year. In accord with our purchase policies, the police department did go and obtain 3 bids. We are actually in the process of reviewing those bids to make sure we have apples to apples comparison of the technical specs that were proposed under those 3 bids, because there were definite cost differentials. So trying to make sure that we have an apples to apples comparison of having the necessary specs to meet the needs of the police department. So that it is under review, and yes, it is a budgeted item.
So let's not, I'm not sure that really answers the question.
Right.
Mike was here.
And I was asked to sound in on the potential conflict, and I gave an opinion and didn't. There were some concerns were made aware to this company that would be made aware to any company that is related to a trustee, but other than that, there were no, I didn't see a conflict.
Yeah, I didn't really see an issue with it, other than I reviewed all the bids in my professional capacity, and that's where I basically suggested that we go back to the vendor and spec out the requirements for the software, and then we provide those specifications to any person that wishes to bid on it. versus them providing their own solution. So they'll go to the vendor and say, this is what is needed, provide those specs, the exact specs to anybody that wishes to compete, and then make it a competitor. So that was my only concern on it, is it was, clearly there were different solutions.
Yeah, my review was not on the technical side, so that was helpful.
And there was a huge difference in the amounts, you know, that were provided to the village. I know that the police department's been working with Taylor Computers, and I think they came in on the middle. So
I obviously have an invested interest in simply because I have it's what I do for a living. So when the new bids come back, I would be happy to review them. But I thought once you added all the pieces together and compared them from what was added and not included, they weren't that bad.
okay.
So
And to be transparent, because that's what we are talking about. The reason I bring it up in the possible conflict of interest is because it's Trustee Meineke's husband's company. So just to be out there, that's what it's about.
And it's a blind competitive bid.
yeah, I don't have any issues with the.
Right.
I think it's fair. So again, all I said is I just sent it back and said, hey, let's make sure the specifications are exactly the same for everybody. All right, anything else for department?
Yeah, Amber, back to you.
Sure.
Have you heard or received any update on the dam repair problem issue that we?
A little bit of an update, yeah. So I did finally get in contact with Staub Construction, who is under contract to do some repairs for one of the Cedarburg's dams this year. And they are gonna come out here in a couple weeks when they have some time and take a look at the project and maybe offer up some solutions in some ways that they could help us out. So I will have more soon.
Any updates on Blue Sky?
Construction is going. They've started with sanitary and water at the end of Yuma Court and are working their way kind of north towards Falls Road. Still working
Any updates
through.
on the walk path? Yeah.
We have not gotten anywhere with that yet. No, I haven't had a chance to talk to Bob.
Right. And the issue there is the actual placement of the walking path that connects. It would be Loose Stem to Yuma
Loose
Court,
Stem.
through Yuma Court to,
Basically the Black Hawk phase 4, I think. Yeah, and how we want to connect those two.
so there's some just to be determined where it actually will be, to address some concerns by the neighbors. Anything else? All right, let's move on to licenses. We had 4 individuals and their places of employment are listed.
I'll make the motion based on chief's recommendation.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 9, court bills. Motion for approval of village expenditures for $126,643.51.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second, comments, questions on the bills?
Jesse, you mentioned something about all this billing with the ambulance. You said you get a report from IQBEX. Is that coming?
We're still waiting on that, yep. We are looking into it though, as you had requested, yep.
Okay, any other comments? Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 10, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I have one.
Is it on with that?